Okay, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. We've got some leaked footage of Tesla's version 11 software. This is their next major overhaul to the car's UI. And we've got some leaked images coming from a refresh Model S that we want to take a look at really quickly. Let's jump into it. So for the sake of privacy, I'm going to obfuscate the information that was on the image regarding the person who was driving the car. And I'm going to credit the person who posted it in the comments below, but we'll just leave it at that. That said, taking a look at this interface, it's the refresh Model S, so we have the full touchscreen. And let me just say first and foremost, this looks great. It's bringing back multitasking in the Model S and X, presumably, and maybe even the Model 3 and Model Y to some extent. Because this touchscreen is separate from the instrument panel, it's free to show as much information as possible. And what we see here is them taking full advantage of that. We have these indicated tiles, which represent maybe embedded apps that it looks like you can probably touch and expand. So for instance, Maps is its own little module to the top left here. And it shows you a little mini window of that. And I'm presuming that if you tap that, you can actually make that full screen to have a full screen map, which is amazing. And below that, you have options for your phone and your phone related apps, such as calendar, contacts, and such. And then to the right, you have the media player, not too dissimilar to where it is now, but you've also got some redesigned temperature controls and climate controls at the bottom as well. And then the sort of main home button or main menu or control options is on the left with that car icon. And this is something very similar to what they had in the Cybertruck, where the Cybertruck had a version of this interface. And even this interface right now, I guess the disclaimer would be that it's pre-production, so it's not in production yet. So we don't know if this is going to make it in full. Maybe some additional tweaks will happen before they come out, but just giving you an idea of where Tesla is going with this design. So again, multitasking was great in the original Model S, where you could split apps between the top and bottom of the vertical touchscreen. Now that the touchscreen is horizontal, we have these tiles, which can, again, take advantage of the real estate of having the full screen. Again, I'm not sure how this is going to work for Model 3 and Model Y, but so far for Model X and Model S, this looks pretty good. Diving in a little bit deeper, going a little bit closer in, you start to see, again, some of the details here in regards to the streaming app, how you have the cards and tiles within an embedded app window. And then you have volume control as well as the source control next to it. And then again, temperature controls at the bottom. Nothing too crazy. And it looks like you can swipe to the right and left as you see those dash lines beneath the media player to maybe access a secondary page of additional apps that you may have open. So again, multitasking is key here, especially in a future where you're going to have some level of autonomy where you want to keep yourself occupied, or when you're just parked at a supercharger waiting, you want to have some level of multitasking capabilities to be able to do multiple things at once and not have to rely on your phone and be able to take full advantage of all the processing power in this new Model S and Model X. All right, so as we flip through the screen, we also see an expansion of that menu that I talked about before, again, apparent in the Cybertruck, but now making its way into more real world standards, which is the Model S and X. And again, just seeing it expanded, you start to see the new bigger icons, bigger touch points and targets for you to be able to touch while on the move. And what you'll also notice in this particular view is you'll see the screen is actually a little bit tilted. And they mentioned that the screen is going to be able to tilt more towards the driver or potentially more towards the passenger, depending on the use case. But it looks like right now it can be straight flush the way it was normally. And then you can angle it a little bit more towards you. So that's the first thing that we're noticing here. And it looks pretty good. I like the ability to be able to do that and put the screen exactly where it makes sense for you, depending on what you're doing. But again, onto the actual screen, the menu, bigger icons, bigger touch points, all the standard fare for accessibility for locks, front, trunk, all that good stuff, mirrors, etc. You have the child lock now, which is accessible, and then the window lock. Window lock has always been there, but it's a physical button. It's now in the software now. And then you also have the ability to increase and decrease the brightness. You'll also see the ability to bring up the camera, as well as to view the clips from this menu item, which is different than how it is right now in version 10. And then you have another redundant controls area for the car, maybe more detailed controls for driving and such. And then again, mirror and steering wheel. So all good stuff right now. It's also giving you the information that was typically hovering at the top, which is the Sentry Cam or Tesla Dash Cam and Sentry Mode at the top, along with the home link, any notifications that are urgent for you, putting that front and center, which is actually new, and then the Bluetooth and wireless connectivity at the top as well. And again, just a little bit redundant in this particular view because it's also on the side left as well at the time. Okay, so all good stuff here. This is looking really good, look really driver focused where everything is accessible to the driver. And as I see the dash, if you see that little dash right there in the middle right-hand side of the of this panel, looks like you can drag that a little further and expand to more options as well. So that's pretty cool. The last screen that we got here is the details into that additional control screen. So when you click on controls where the car is, it brings up the standard menu where all the information for driving, charging, autopilot, suspension, locks, all that good stuff. All that's very familiar, so very much the same with what we already know. I think the difference here is that you're going to see a couple of new settings. The first one is now calling, effectively launch mode, drag strip mode, and being able to have some additional configuration in there. And this not being a Plaid version or a Plaid Plus version of the car, you have just Sport and you actually give Insane. Insane is now standard, which used to be sort of a performance upgrade. So you have Insane, Sport, and Chill as the acceleration modes. And assuming that if you have Plaid, you have Plaid and Plaid Plus. But then drag strip mode is just that mode that can be activated, similar to how there's track mode for the Model 3. Okay, steering wheel is much more the same. But now below that, we have some of the newer features here, which are much welcome and exciting to see. The first is the Smart Shift. That's what Elon talked about, how the car sort of determines where you are and automatically shifts into gear. So that's pretty cool. Looking forward to learning more about that. And then the second option here is Slip Start. That's normally what we have inside of all the Teslas, just helping you get out of, tough areas, tough scenarios. But last one is probably my favorite, probably the most impactful one for me, and that is Media on Drive. This is a toggle that allows you to automatically open the media player during drive. This is a really, really huge deal because right now, as of version 10, the media player always pops up when you open the car or when you get in the car for the first time. Which probably makes sense in some scenarios, but it gets really annoying on a day-to-day basis, especially if you hide it so you want to see the full screen map or you have another app up, you want to retain the session that you left the car in. And right now the media player doesn't allow that. It automatically always opens up when you enter the car. So this feature is going to allow that to persist and say, hey, you know what? Whatever state you left the car, it's going to stay in that state. But if you would like to put it in drive, that's when you want the media player to pop up, and it'll pop up then. If you turn it off, this particular option, then it looks like it's going to say it's going to stay in whatever state you left it in. The media player won't pop up, which is great. And this is definitely something that we would love to turn off if we have the option to do that, just so we can use the media player when we want to, and it doesn't have to automatically keep popping up. But for those who like to always access the media player, they can turn it on, and then every time they put it in drive, it'll pop up for them. So this is, to me, the biggest feature so far that we've seen in these screenshots and these leaks here of version 11. But again, everything is subject to change. This is pre-production. We don't know more about it, and we probably will learn more about it over time. But this is, again, trending in the right direction. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what you think. Do you like the new design? Do you not like the new design? Do you like the card and tile layout that they have there? Do you think this would be viable for the Model 3 and Model Y screen, since everything has to be sort of crammed into that one screen? Or do you think this might be just for the Model S and X? Let us know what you think. And until the next time, enjoy your day. Enjoy your Tesla.